Welcome to the bottom of the barrel. To all you grubby groupers and floundering fans, to another edition of the Bottom Feeders podcast, the first podcast dedicated to the last. Sit back and enjoy the blast and the rush of watching our team shrivel in the clutch or not showing up in games that mean so much. Here at the bottom, we talk about it all, every decision that led us to our downfall.
The backside of Brandon Moore to knock the ball out.
Quarterback's arm going forward.
Welcome to the Bottom Feeders.
It's a conspiracy by the Ritz family.
All right.
You know, white people are the only race of people that came up with their own slur as a marketing ploy. The Ritz family developed the term cracker just to sell more crackers. I know the NFL has come under fire recently with Uber Eats for trying to sell more food, but I'm telling you, the Ritz family has been selling food in this country for generations.
Baker Mayfield just sells more bread.
An all new episode of the Bottom Feeders podcast.
You heard it there first. We are live with yet another episode of the Bottom Feeders podcast. Carson alongside Malcolm. Malcolm, how you doing today?
How y'all doing, people? What's up?
So we are enjoying the offseason a little bit. Took a week off, but we are back once again because there are still so many issues with so many teams. There is a lot of coaching carousel problems. Lots of fans out there probably questioning the future of their franchise.
Round and round we go.
And as is the ever-changing landscape of fantasy football, when one season ends,
wishy-washy.
the next one begins. We've already started seeing some rankings come out, and so we're gonna take a little bit of a review on the season, a way too early look ahead to next season, but we're gonna focus a lot on what's been going on around the league the last couple of weeks. Malcolm, what's been the biggest storyline for you this last couple of weeks?
For me, the last couple of weeks, this Mendoza sweepstakes, the college football in general, these games have been intense. They've been awesome to watch. The playoffs, the opening round of the playoffs, as far as real football goes, that's been really interesting to see. Perhaps the collapse of the Steelers organization. Hopefully not. Let's pump the brakes on that. I've seen a lot of things on social media about how it's over. You know, the sky might be falling, Chicken Little, but it may not be. Also, I just in general, I feel like the whole current of the NFL is moving in a lot of different directions. Perhaps we have some coaches being fired because other coaches have been made available, and that's an interesting just concept in general. Man, I lost my job not because I'm not necessarily good at my job or I didn't perform well at my job, but because somebody else might be potentially better than me at this job, and they may not actually be interested in that job.
Yeah. And we'll break all those coaching scenarios down later because this is a year unlike any other we've ever seen, I think. I believe it's 8 head coach openings right now. That's a quarter of the league, 25%.
And we may not be done.
I am still holding out hope the Jets fire Aaron Glenn. I really want Harbaugh. I mean, hey, if you're going to make Harbaugh available, hell yeah, I want him. Granted, I don't think there's a world anyone, especially Harbaugh, wants to coach the Jets, but I can dream, you know.
I feel like Jets fans, they live in the space between hope and actual reality, and it's a beautiful place. Well, you know, it's a blissful existence until you guys realize your ignorance.
Hey, well, speaking of dreams, I wanted to, at our core, I suppose we are very much a fantasy football podcast. And while the season might be over, I wanted to take a second to kind of, maybe like each week or every other week, let's take a look back at the year and kind of, you know, try to improve ourselves for the next season and take a look position by position, both looking back on this past year and looking ahead to next season. And so I figured we start with the quarterback position and kind of do a year in review. Quarterbacks.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I'm gonna share our screen. I have our league's draft from last year pulled up. I'm gonna share it. If viewers at home, if you're watching on YouTube, you might see some crazy running back, receiver, tight end picks, but we'll get to those eventually. This week, we're focusing only on quarterbacks. And Malcolm, you took your quarterback pretty early, I believe.
I did. We were saying in some of the earlier shows about our different things we've done in the draft, but almost every year, because of knowing the people that we've been in the league with for 14 years, I try to set trends within the draft because I know it'll motivate them to do different things, especially because I often pick from the back of the draft. So that's how I try to control the draft from wherever position I'm at. So yeah,
Yeah.
since starting a QB run is a good way to start the panic in the league. And maybe this year I did it too early.
Yeah, well, you got the pick after you to take Jaden Daniels, um,
You
which,
know?
hey, he was drafted as quarterback 4, finished quarterback 34, played in what, 6 games, which it looks like 7 games. Just a rough season for Jaden Daniels all around. Do you think he bounces back next year?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that we were talking about this a little bit before the show. I think from a personal standpoint, he bounces back. From a mentality standpoint, he figures out whatever he needs to be a good quarterback in the league. And I know he still has the potential to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. So I think that it's going to take maybe a couple years, but I also think his production is going to match that of Justin Herbert's. Maybe not the winning percentage as well from a team standpoint, but the production wise, I think they'll be in lockstep. So yeah, I think he'll be on that adjustment pattern. Um,
Yeah,
depending on his availability.
it
That's the
is.
only thing that I can't guarantee,
It,
or anybody can guarantee,
and I'm sure Washington fans across the country are terrified of a second RG3 type situation where, hey, rookie
Yikes.
year, I mean, he made the NFC Championship game, right?
Yeah.
Lost to the Eagles, but he still made it
Kirk
there.
Cousins.
Exactly. Kirk Cousins couldn't do it. Jaden Daniels brought a bad Commanders team that far. The talent is there. The leadership, I think, is there. But I'm kind of with you in the fantasy perspective. I don't think, at least from a fantasy mindset, he's going to bounce back next year. Looking at some other quarterbacks that are taken pretty high. First off, Josh Allen. Let's give him credit where credit's due. He was drafted as a first quarterback in the league. He finished as a first quarterback in fantasy.
Hey, that was a bold selection, but it was an appropriate selection.
Yeah. And I think we'll see him again be the first quarterback off the board next year. He's just been consistent for too long. So good. He's an
We
absolute
were also
star.
talking about, and we'll get into it later within the rankings, but people's estimations and valuing of literal running quarterbacks and or just quarterbacks who are going to get you rushing yards consistently, seemingly, is what elevates these players constantly from a fantasy perspective.
Yep. And then you have your players like Josh Allen, who might not be getting the rushing yards per se, but he's certainly getting the rushing
Touchdowns.
touchdowns. I mean, what is this? 2, 4, 7, 11, 12, 14 rushing touchdowns this year.
Lamar a couple years ago was on a similar track too, where every time they got into the red zone,
Yeah.
you knew you were getting a rushing touchdown.
Speaking of Lamar, he was quarterback 2 off the board in our draft. He went in
He
round
absolutely
3,
was.
and he finished as
Ah,
quarterback 20.
oof. Yikes.
Missed some time, but even when he came back after injury, he wasn't the same Lamar we're used to seeing.
Missed time, missed the playoffs, missed kicks. There's a lot of misses with the Ravens organization this year.
And now they're missing a coach.
Oh, right. That
Yep.
happened too.
Yeah. So do you think Lamar Jackson can bounce back next season?
Do I have supreme confidence in LJ? Yeah. Yeah. Thousand
Even with
percent.
an unknown head coach coming in, potentially a
That
new
man is from Dade
scheme.
County. Do you know anything about Dade County?
I
Oh
lived
yeah, that's
there
right.
for about a
You went to the
decade.
U.
Yeah.
I think you
Represent.
believe in the resilience of anybody from that community. I think he has the ability and the mentality to bounce back. But from an organizational standpoint, it will be interesting to see what they do. I think hearing Steve Bisciotti talk about how he wants Lamar to sit in on the coaching interview process and be really involved within that
Oh,
process, I
really?
think that's a good step. Yeah, he's been on one. Steve Bisciotti, the Ravens owner, has
Uh,
been giving a lot of quotes this week, and I think his actual presence in the media is a good thing for the Ravens organization because they like to keep things kind of like cohesive, and you want to hear a couple of voices from them, whether it's a couple quotes a year from the GM, a couple quotes a year from Harbaugh, and then Lamar is usually utilized as like the main like media friendly face within that
Yeah.
organization. And you don't hear much from many other of the players. But it's Kyle Hamilton also does some stuff too on the defensive side too. So I just think
Kyle,
it's interesting to hear the whole organization being allowed to be more vocal about the process. And I think they're building something more transparent. And I think that's going to pay him dividends on the back end for that organization. Because we were talking about how does a coach like Harbaugh lose the locker room? Well, it seems like there's just a bunch of silos. When you operate in isolation for that long in an organization, everybody thinks that they're working or rowing in the right direction, but it seems like they weren't rowing in the right direction, and that was evident on the field. And then now you have to figure out where the cracks in the organization were. And I don't think a lot of that starts with the players. I think a lot of that starts with figuring out what the structure of the organization looks like.
which is
So,
going to be interesting, which is why I'm kind of wary of Lamar next year because
from a fantasy perspective, absolutely.
I just don't know who the head coach is going to be. I don't know if I necessarily trust a head coach to be able to immediately do a good job in that very unique offense.
If you're evaluating Lamar from a fantasy perspective, you also have to think about his relationship with the coordinators. Similar to Jalen Hurts, he's had a lot of different offensive coordinators, and that has heavily affected the production or the type of production that the Ravens offense is able to generate. We'll see what happens with Arthur Smith, but I think if Arthur Smith is the one quarterback or coach, I believe that could be brought in the Ravens situation, that might be somebody who ends up producing something positive for Lamar. But we'll
Yeah.
see. I also don't know if he's figured out how to run the ball, and between Kyle Pitts, Bijan, and just in general the Steelers
Yeah.
situation, I don't know if he's figured it out yet. I know he's still a great play caller, but we'll see.
We'll see. You mentioned Jalen Hurts, and yes, he's been battling through different offensive coordinators. Yes, the Eagles' offense as a whole looked abysmal, but aside from Josh Allen, he was the only quarterback from a fantasy perspective that was taken. Let me see. Mahomes did not. Baker did not. Bo Nix. Okay, Bo Nix did. So, of the first seven quarterbacks taken, Jalen Hurts was one of only two to finish in the top 10 in fantasy. The other one being Josh Allen, of course. So, this year, for quarterbacks especially, the whole landscape determined leagues. I mean, we saw it in our league. I mean, someone got lucky and took Drake May in round 10 and ended up winning the league.
I wonder who that somebody could
Yeah,
be.
yeah, crazy stuff. He also took
And I wonder
trade.
who took Jalen Hurts as the third quarterback
Yeah.
overall. You know,
And hey, he finished quarterback eight, which in the grand scheme of things, look at the quarterbacks taken around him.
I was going to say,
Lamar, Jaden,
let's do
Joe
something real
Burrow.
quick.
All right.
We did something pre-show where we finally like we analyzed which quarterbacks were taking sort of right, and we were just kind of flowing through the list. But let's look at the actual returns because I think that's an interesting thing that we just stumbled on. Right, Drake May was seemingly was one of the best returns, but there are some better ones than even Drake May. And Josh
Yeah.
Allen being one is something that we also hadn't discussed too. So I think that's also interesting as well. It adds like we were asking before, where is the value in some of the other positions and picks that we had? Josh Allen being one, I guess, is the value or expected
Yeah.
value or return, but I don't know if that actually is because of the roller coaster
Yeah.
that we saw in his production
So
as well.
to your point exactly, there's a lot of strategies every year about weighted on quarterback in fantasy. And this year it seemed to take that to a whole nother level. I mean, just look at round 10 right here. Round 10, we had four quarterbacks go off the board. Uh, Bo Nix was quarterback eight, Kyler quarterback nine. So Herbert was quarterback 10. You took him at the beginning of the 10th round.
Set, start a run.
He finished quarterback 10. Not bad.
Hey, bookends.
Yeah. Brock Purdy went also in round 10. And while he finished as quarterback 23,
He
if we
missed some
look at
time.
if we look at his average points, he missed a lot of time. From an average perspective, he had to have been top 10 for sure.
I
I mean,
think he
not,
takes Herbert's spot maybe.
I think he might be top five because Herbert
Absolutely
was 10th
takes
with
Herbert's spot.
18. So Brock Purdy, if I know there are teams that won because of Brock Purdy late in the year. I mean, when it mattered in fantasy,
30-point performance in week 17 obviously
yeah.
doesn't help many people, but he also had that same performance in the championship week. So if you
But yeah,
had Brock Purdy
so
in the championship, he won you a championship almost. And
yeah,
also maybe even to put the entire playoff run.
the entire playoffs, if you're a typical league and you have week 15 through 17 as your playoffs, I mean, is this over 90 points? He dropped in the playoffs. Like,
Where is the value? I ask again. If you are somebody who subscribes to waiting for a quarterback, perhaps this is your guy, right? But I
yeah,
also think that there's a good chance that you don't get the same return, you
let's.
know,
The
one pick away from
Niners,
this.
the Niners are always so interesting because you just don't know. And then here is where the money was made. Uh, Drake May. I think I told you before the draft. I think I
You
told you
did.
I'm going to draft Drake May in the
I
10th
said,
round.
I don't know if I believe in the Patriots. I was
And
wrong.
he
I was
finished
wrong.
as quarterback two. I was locked in, and just even fantasy playoffs we were just talking about. Not quite Brock Purdy numbers, but
Never thought I'd say that, huh?
he did have about 75 to 80 points in the fantasy playoffs. Granted,
Ridiculous.
he did get to play the Jets, which is not fair. I mean, just 19 for 21.
We talked about it on the show, but
Yeah.
anybody who gets to play the Jets twice a year, honestly, I don't know if he can ever win a MVP. I
Yep.
don't know if we'll ever be able to make a strong enough case. You beat the Jets and the Dolphins four
Yeah.
times this
Great.
year. Let's look at your numbers. Okay, so we got to subtract 15
Yeah.
touchdowns from your numbers. I'm sorry, dude. It's not fair. Stafford threw 40 against regular people.
Let's give, his first game against the Jets, he only had one touchdown.
Remember when they were making a big deal about him not breaking 300 yards, but he consistently broke 250 every game?
Almost every single game. It was crazy. And then against Baltimore, he just,
That's more Baltimore than him, but I agree. He balled
yeah,
out. He had to still ball out for him to do it, but that
right.
organization was imploding without Lamar.
But even after Drake May, literally the next pick in the draft, Dak
Dak Prescott,
Prescott
CJ Stroud.
finished as quarterback six, and he was taken as quarterback 13.
And right underneath them with the Stroud, I just want to highlight that same dude selected whom before that?
He took Jaden Daniels, I
So
think.
Jaden Daniels
Oh,
and CJ Stroud. He took both young quarterbacks from last year.
yep.
That's what I was thinking too. So like that's not necessarily something that someone else wouldn't do.
And I think something worth mentioning, one, Caleb Williams, absolute star,
Finished
finished
after
as
all of them, or took
quarterback
finished
five.
before all of them, but was taken after all of them,
The issue is though,
or
the
before them, I
team
guess,
the
because
team that picked Caleb
it's a weird
Williams had
layout.
Lamar Jackson all year.
Mm,
So he was stuck because he can't really. I mean, we debated this a lot in our Stardom Sims, this exact
yeah,
matchup. And it's hard to bench Lamar Jackson, but Caleb Williams was elite all
the better
season.
quarterback this year. Yeah,
And
that's
one
really
last
tough.
one last thing looking back before we start looking ahead, I think it's interesting to note quarterback three this year went undrafted. We had
Yes,
we had
yes,
JJ McCarthy get drafted by myself. Hey, it happens. We had we had Tua and Michael Penix Jr. get drafted in the last round.
and Cam Ward. Don't you leave out your University of Miami grad.
Hey, Cam
I
Ward
know
did
he's somewhere on
solid.
there.
He finished quarterback
11-point
22.
average. Yeah,
Eh. But
yeah,
look at this
solid.
last half of the season. He improved a lot.
You're right. He did improve a lot.
23, 18, 18,
He was much more
15.
efficient with the ways he found to lose.
Yeah. Hey, you gave him a good
It
draft
wasn't
pick for
him. It
next
wasn't
year.
on him necessarily. We all know that. But the Titans did get better at losing. They
Yeah.
cut down the time in which and the hope that you felt because they ended up coming back in a lot of those games in the middle of the game, and then finally they figured out since we're not going to win, maybe we should stop expending so much effort in the way in which we lose, and
And
that
just
takes pride.
focus on development, which
Next
I
year,
think they did a good job. Yeah.
development, play calling, efficiency, getting the play out there, running the defense, not blowing,
Hmm.
having blown coverages, good stuff.
But what's interesting to note, I think is important to note as you look ahead, off-season storylines, preseason storylines were completely wrong. Matt Stafford was not drafted because of his back injury, and people were saying he couldn't stand upright, and everyone was worried.
They were
That was
talking
a
about the
storyline.
epidurals.
Yeah. And he's about to win MVP. He's about to win a Super Bowl, I think. Like
Now that the Jaguars are eliminated.
It is on. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Shout out Trevor Lawrence. He was taking like quarterback 20 and finished quarterback 4. We didn't even mention him, but it's good to manage flowers.
Stafford was the Tony Romo of this draft.
Yeah,
And we were talking about it also too. He got picked up in September after not being drafted, and then
yep,
dropped by November, and then was on a roster or a team that was really just underperforming. So he never really even appeared in our league as far as having an impact in
yeah.
games.
So, and it's well, he did keep his team from losing the Wing Bowl.
You're right. He showed up in the clutch.
He showed up to prevent one of our teammates, one of our league mates. You'll see, you saw him on the screen, Saint Jalen Alexander Hurts, uh, a new name of Saint Nick Foles, Eagles fan, if you couldn't guess.
Go Birds. No.
Yeah,
I don't know,
Birds
I
had a
don't know where
rough
that came
one,
from. I don't know where that came from.
but
You an
Stafford
Eagles fan in
did
here?
great. So let's kind of take that mindset, and I want us to look ahead to next year. I have ESPN's way too early top 32 fantasy quarterbacks for next season. And I want each of us to kind of
Okay.
pick one dream off this list. I know it's early, but one dream and one nightmare, like we used to do during the regular season.
Let's do it.
All right, so let me pull this up. Here you go. If you're watching at home on YouTube, you should be able to see it. I put it in a notes app, very professional looking, I know.
Ooh. Yeah.
Here's what we got. Some things of note in my mind. Lamar, Jaden, Joe Burrow, all missed time with injury, but are all still top 6 quarterbacks. And yeah, so while you look that over, I'm going to tell you who my nightmare is
Okay.
on
Okay.
this list. And my nightmare is 100% going to be Jalen Hurts.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good
I
one.
I know, look, he still put up fantasy numbers this past
Wow.
year, but that offense is in shambles, and I think AJ Brown is gone. The O line is not what it used to be. And I think what we're going to see is they spent a lot of money on that O line. They spent a lot of money on the running game to win that Super Bowl, and they did it. So it was worth it, 100%. But now there's not a lot of cap space, not a lot of room for improving that roster. The good coaches got poached, and now they're left with bad coaches. I just don't see a scenario where Jalen Hurts is putting up top 10, let alone top 5 fantasy rankings or fantasy numbers like he's ranked. I just don't see that world. I would probably put Jalen Hurts not in my top 10 for fantasy quarterbacks. So to see him going and ranked already as still top 5, that's a nightmare waiting to happen if you ask me.
I concur. However, I will say there's a slight chance that the Eagles figure it out. Heading on based on how they've been trending for the past couple of years, I think that there's a good likelihood that for whatever reason next year they have another record-breaking year and the offense looks good, the defense looks good, and they've proven that like the Colts, the Chargers of old when we were growing up, with a good quarterback and a good system, they can achieve the mediocrity they seek.
Yeah, I don't think that's mediocrity is what we're gonna get with Hurts. I don't think he's a top. I would not put him as a top 12 fantasy quarterback next year. I would gamble to say that fact.
I think with Hurts, it's so hard to evaluate him from not only a fantasy perspective, but just a football perspective because he is objectively good at all the things you want a quarterback to be
He
good at.
he
Not
is.
necessarily great in a lot of aspects, and I think people overestimate how great he is as a running quarterback, and that there's a lot of factors that go into that. But just in general, I think all of it makes for a confusing
Yeah.
understanding of who he is and how he affects
There's
the
also
game.
the fact of, let's say, the tush push might get banned this offseason. I don't think it should be. I think the tush push should be allowed. I think people who want it banned are losers and are mad that their team can't do it as well as the Eagles or the Bills can. But I think there's growing momentum across the league that's going to be banned, which then takes away a lot of his rushing touchdowns. I just don't see him should be ranked that high. But who's your nightmare on this list? Who is ranked
My
way too
nightmare.
high?
And see, this is where I struggle with my nightmare in particular. Um, my nightmare is not actually ranked high, but I think he's someone who's going to climb the boards rather quickly because of some of the players that you mentioned who are returning from injury. And it's Jordan Love, right?
Yep.
I think that the Packers in general this year I was very weary of. And he's somebody who has a lot of upside from a fantasy perspective, right? He gives you some of the same things that those other quarterbacks give you from an arm talent level. He's better, let's just say. Um, Jalen Hurts or whomever else, and he also still is one of those bigger quarterbacks like a Justin Herbert or whomever else who is going to rush Trevor Lawrence and get you those yards and possibly touchdowns in the goal line too. So I think from a fantasy perspective, he's going to look more attractive as the year goes on to people, and he's going to rise in the rankings and constantly kind of be one of those people who are either on the bubble of draft boards or is going to rise in a lot of draft boards later in the season as some
What's
other offseason information emerges, like in the Stafford situation.
it is interesting to see, like, he finished as quarterback 15 on the season. Like, he averaged 16 fantasy points a game. That's not a bad year. So to see him ranked below Kyler Murray, who was benched, Daniel Jones, who tore his Achilles, Cam Ward, is kind of crazy in my opinion. So I agree that we might see him in the top 15 conversation and when draft time comes. But that's a good one. Now, my dream for next year, looking at these rankings, and this one might be crazy, but my dream is Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my.
I
I was
think
thinking that.
I think he's going to be
Thinking
undervalued. I mean,
that.
I think even
Couldn't do it.
12,
I was thinking that.
I think 12 is honestly higher than I expected him to be
Even
coming
coming off
off.
the ACL late in the year.
But it's also, I think he has that kind of Adrian Peterson type gene in him, where he can come back fast and be as good, if not better. And with the season they just had, he's going to be coming back with something to prove. He still wants to be in the GOAT conversation with Tom Brady. And if he falls off, he's not going to be in it. He'll be just like, I don't know, a Peyton Manning type in the debates. Great, but not GOAT. So he has
I
something to
mean,
prove.
he already allowed Jalen Hurts to win a Super Bowl in his era, quote unquote. That'll
Yep.
always be a stain on his legacy. We just talked about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
So
So I think Mahomes, even at 12, if he's quarterback 12, hey, Drake May was quarterback 12 this year. I would take him again in a heartbeat at that value. I would take Mahomes as quarterback 12 next year in a heartbeat. Like, not even thinking about it. But round 10, give me Mahomes. Also, Rasheed Rice will be not suspended for the whole season, hopefully. I know we
use
saw.
Rasheed Rice, man. Wait till we get to receivers. No, no,
Yeah.
no more talk about Rasheed Rice until a couple weeks. You and Bo him need a break, okay? And
Fair
after the
enough.
break, you guys can figure out if you guys should be together.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, that's my dream. I think Mahomes is going to finish way above quarterback 12. I think he's going to be finished as a top 3 fantasy quarterback next year, like he was on track to do this year before he got
He
hurt.
was, he was.
But all right, what's your dream for quarterbacks?
Wow. I can't believe that I'm about to say this, but I think he's pretty good. Brock Purdy. I think he's gonna have a pretty good
Wow.
year. I do. I do. I can't look at the data that we just looked at and not think that next year he's going to replicate some of that success. He is a quote
Here's the thing
unquote
about Purdy.
scheme quarterback. I don't know.
Hey, even if it's
He
his scheme
showed some things that
quarterback,
he hadn't shown previously, too. So
it's
I
a
think that level of elusiveness and that Drew Brees level of production is something that we're going to start to see. And maybe he's going to be an MVP candidate this next year.
he was what, last year, 2 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, he was a real candidate.
As Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, I think his career is so awesome. You can't not root for the guy, in my opinion. And
I think him and Mac
I
Jones have
think
mirrored careers. And it's hilarious.
it's crazy because they were taking opposites of the draft, and yet they both have found amazing success with Shanahan this year. Now, I don't think Mac Jones is going to go anywhere else and be good. I think it's truly all Kyle Shanahan. I think he's an offensive mastermind. I think he's the best offensive coach of our lifetimes I think we've ever seen. I'll say it. I'll take
Mm,
it. I'll take him over McVay. I'll take him over who else will be up there? Bill. I'll take him over Bill just for offense at least.
I was gonna say we literally lived through the Schottenheimer era.
Yeah. Hey,
There are some play callers in our elementary and middle school years that were doing some things. The read option too.
was that was Harbaugh with San Francisco, right? That was Harbaugh, yeah. But Kyle Shanahan's different. I think
Which led
he,
to RPO and all the rest of the things we are doing. They were running RPO as well too in San Francisco
yeah,
around then.
with Kaepernick, with Harbaugh and Kaepernick, we're doing it for against the Packers in the playoffs for like a 50, 60-yard read option touchdown run.
Every time.
Awesome, awesome era. But all right, so we got way too early rankings. We got Brock Purdy and Mahomes as our undervalued dreams, and we got Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love as our overvalued nightmares.
Damn, I didn't even see that we did that, but 11 and 12. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Hey, quarterbacks 11 and 12 this past year, in our draft at least, were Brock Purdy at 11, funnily enough, and Drake May at 12. So maybe that's the spot to be in the preseason rankings.
We might have uncovered it. And if you watch the show, our league mates don't do that. Don't take them now.
Yeah. Unless you're Alaskan Bullworms because you will take Josh Allen in the second round every single year. And hey, I mean
Consistency is key.
I think he's been in the semifinals every single year. I don't know if it's enough to win, but
Fourth place finish is always good, especially
yeah.
when it's at the Olympics.
But all right, with that, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, dive into this insane coaching carousel that's been going on, and just take a check in on our Jets and Raiders, who finished with the two worst records in football this year, and kind of look ahead to what they'll be going through.
Absolutely. Let's
But
get
we
it.
will
See you after the break.
see y'all after the break.
Peace.
In pastel shades, hues are faded. Those colorways so outdated. Lost in the ways that you played it. Lost in the ways that you made it. Lost in the wave of my greatness. Drowning in haze of the faintest. Loud to the face, got me faded. Had need a chase and we wasted. Told on my waist, won't display it. Just in case, won't explain it. Love to my haters who hate it. Trust when I say that I made it. In pastel shades, hues are faded. Those colorways so outdated. Lost in the ways that you played it. Lost in the ways that you made it. Lost in the wave of my greatness. Drowning in haze of the faintest. Loud to the face, got me faded. Had need a chase and we wasted.
Are back from the break indeed. Carson alongside Malcolm. And Malcolm, we
Yeah.
were talking a lot about the break about fantasy punishments because we have ours coming up this weekend. We're recording
Hot
this
topic.
Wednesday night, and our last place finisher. Funnily enough, if you've been keeping track of team names all season in our league, fuck my butt Tebow got
Let that sink
butt
in.
fucked this year and finished in last place. Ooh.
Tough.
And he is usually
You
a
know,
member
he's
of
from
our league.
Sayreville, though, so he must be used to it.
Yeah. Deep cut. Deep cut. Well done. He's actually someone who's usually top three in our league. Like he has a ton of top three, top four finishes over the last 8 years.
But he's always been a power bottom,
And
so.
and here he is at the bottom this year. he did get just royally screwed by injuries. And I do like to kind of, I'm going to have to go back a few tabs. But just to kind of pull up, I'm going to share my screen just to kind of see how a fantasy season can go wrong. And sometimes it has nothing to do with you as a fantasy manager. It's just luck. So
Organizations sometimes falter.
fuck my butt Tebow, his first round pick, Malik Neighbors. Oof. What sucks
What a
is
place to start. What a place to start.
he looked really good. Second round pick, Jonathan Taylor.
Oh,
I mean, he started off hot and then kind of fell off. Third round pick, Garrett Wilson. Ugh, as a Jets fan, I mean, he finished what? Receiver
yikes.
67. Fourth round pick,
Ouch.
Terry McLaurin. Missed a lot of time.
It might be easier for this team to see who played.
Fifth round pick, Jamison Williams. He played all year.
Okay.
Did have a few zero burgers despite playing.
That's tough.
So he got hot too late. Sixth round pick, David Montgomery, who just had a
See,
few
he
good
stuck with the
games.
Lions. He started identifying some positives for himself.
Baker Mayfield started off hot and fell off. Cooper Kupp in round 8 was just a ugh.
Cooper Kupp in round 8. In hindsight, not even in hindsight, in retrospect, in hindsight, in future sight, in foresight, in all of the sites. What are we looking at here?
Yeah. J.K. Dobbins in the 9th round. Again, another guy started off hot. Heck, he was like top 3 in the league in rushing to start the season.
I was a previous subscriber to the J.K. Dobbins experiment. And as somebody, again, who watched a lot of AFC West football over the past 10 years, fam, you couldn't convince me that was the move.
See, I disagree. I think that was great value. It's just the issue with J.K. Dobbins every year.
In round 9, I don't disagree with the value. No.
Yeah, his legs
The
are weak.
production. The production, absolutely. Yeah.
Production was good until he got hurt. I mean,
He's going to get hurt. That's
round
what
10,
happens when you
yeah.
have severe, catastrophic lower leg injuries.
Yeah. Round
Rashid
10,
Shaheed.
Rashid Shaheed, who actually started off decent with the Saints.
I was going to say it's ironic because we thought that it was going to be the reverse. Once he got traded, he was going to have more consistency, and it was the opposite.
Yeah. Rough one. So you can see, like, honestly, entering the draft,
Every step he took was a misstep.
Like,
A mistake.
if my first 4 picks were Neighbors, Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, I was feeling really good, I think most people would have felt really good with that top 4 picks before the season.
The chat was very active post-draft, and I've yet to address some of the things that were said, but there were a lot of things said and possibly vile things said in the chat, and we absorbed them, me and you. And
Yeah.
I think at the time, I'm like, look, this happens every year. Y'all talk crap about the draft selections, and every single year there are certain players on our roster who overperform, and regardless of our team standing, I feel confident that we've been able to put together a good roster despite our perhaps previous draft falterings that have looked very similar to this team's.
But hey, sometimes injuries just get you. I mean, 3 of his top 4 picks all missed. I mean, Terry missed, this is what, half the season. Garrett Wilson missed half the season. Malik Neighbors missed 3/4 of the season. Sometimes injuries just get you. So Mike will be competing in our punishment, which is a Blazing Wing challenge, has been for over a decade. And something I think we do that's unique to our league, I think is brilliant, is we gamble on how long it's going to take the last place person
Degenerates.
to eat the wings. And based on how close your guess is to what the time actually takes, you get to choose your draft slot for the next year between 1 and 12. So, like last year, I think I had like the 3rd closest time. So I got to choose to pick 2nd overall. Worked out pretty well. Shout out Bijan. And so Malcolm. So before I get ahead, I do make my pick official to the league in public. so no one questions as commissioner, like, oh, he got to choose his time afterwards. So I chose 8 minutes and 8 seconds for Mike to eat 12 wings and blazing hot sauce. Malcolm, let's get this on the record right now. What is your official guess
Okay.
for Mike and the
I've written it
wings?
down. I've written it down, and it's good. It's a good one. Okay.
Is it
And
more or less than 8 minutes, 8 seconds?
I figured we were gonna do this.
Yeah.
I confidently tell you, less.
Confidently less. Ooh. Is it less than 7 minutes?
Yes.
Damn. Less than 6 minutes?
No.
Okay. Okay. 6.5 minutes?
6:23.
6:23. Let me write that down. I am, not supposed to
More
divulge
visual peoples. It's written down somewhere.
somewhere in the scribbles. 6:23. You have the second lowest guess so far.
Ooh. Who prices
I'm
right?
not gonna say who, but someone did guess 6 minutes and 3 seconds.
Mm, 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 mm. Mm, mm, mm.
But otherwise, you are in there with a lot of faith in our boy Fuck My Butt Tebow, who we're gonna work really hard to get on the podcast. I know I feel bad that we're talking about his team and how his team fell apart without him here. So we're gonna try and get him on next week.
Show up. Come on.
Uh
I know we didn't invite you yet, but
yeah. And we'll see him on Saturday when we does the wings,
we
but
gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it.
we'll get him on. But let's change
I'll bring
gears
the
a
cameras
bit.
too. You guys gonna see it too.
Well, first off, we want to hear about y'all's fantasy punishments. If any of you have to do something egregious for your punishment, email us. Let us know what it is. We'd love to hear about
Comment
it,
down
talk
below.
about it. Bottomfeederspod@gmail.com, spelled exactly how it sounds. Finally got that phrase right. Took me like 3 months.
You know,
Spelled how it sounds. But we got it.
repetition. Drillers make killers.
And we've been
We gonna hit
drilling
you
this shit
in the
for
ring.
months.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna pop,
Pop, pop,
one,
pop.
two. Hey. Yeah.
A little jab and then the uppercut.
A little straight. 4, 5, 6.
But let's change gears
gonna
because
work
at
out
the end of the day,
combos.
we are both a fantasy football and a real football podcast. Talked a lot
Absolutely.
about some fantasy failures this year, but we do
Let's
like to
get to
cheer
reality.
ourselves up each week by reminding us that our failures pale in comparison to some of
I
the
don't get paid to do
coaching.
this.
Yeah,
Not
we
yet.
don't get paid. We don't have salaries on the line. We don't
Hey,
have
but Jets
jobs.
Raiders, if you out there, how much worse can it be?
Yeah.
Why not hire me? Why not hire him?
So
See what
during the
happens, you know what I'm saying?
season, we did coaching fumbles, but I feel given the circumstances of the current landscape of the NFL, I want us to do organizational fumbles of the last 2 weeks because we did take a week off.
Organizational architects. That's what our new title is going to be.
Yeah, organizational architectural fumble of the week. Malcolm, what do you got for us?
As much as it pains me to say this, the Baltimore Ravens. What are we doing out here? Steve Biscotti, we going out here giving press conferences like we Jerry Jones all of a sudden? We're giving quotables to the media? The Ravens organization has only had a couple voices, and that has helped the organization present a solidified voice within the perception of the team. And now, in this changing landscape, I think the things that you guys are saying are positive, like asking Lamar to show up for coaching interviews so that he can be involved in the process, thinking about what the next steps are after you move away from your GM who's been tenured there for a while. I think that overall the organization is moving and shifting in the right direction, but I think they're being a little bit too vocal about it, a little bit too transparent about it. Why? Because the transparency is showing a lot of cracks at the structure of the organization and the way in which it's been run. It shows that the organization's been run in silos for the past couple of years, and I think that it's time now for them to repair some of those silos by disrupting some of the patterns that they've fallen into, whether it's hiring within, whether it's giving the media certain things to attack the organization from internally. This year, I think you saw a lot of things happen similarly in San Francisco, where the media was describing the situation because they didn't have firsthand accounts from other people who are around the organization, not necessarily within the organization. I think that is the fault of the organization. And now they're trying to counteract that by being more vocal about a lot of the things that they're doing so that they can hopefully create or control the perception of the organization. I think that's a mistake as well too. I don't think you need to be more vocal. I think you just need to be more unified. So the
So
Baltimore
I guess the
Ravens,
question
my
is,
organizational fumble of the week.
was it the right decision to fire Harbaugh or the wrong one?
And we talked about this a little bit in pre-production meeting. Yes, Harbaugh and Tomlin needed to go, but this should have happened a couple years ago, perhaps. And I think this should have happened with a plan in place. Those are two people who are able to structure an organization for stability, and they did their best to do that over the past couple of years. And I think that they could have done a better job if they had a more pointed goal, right? And
Right.
over the past couple of years, you've seen they faltered in these moments, and I don't know that they found that they're going to find the people to replace them in that moment. I think McCarthy is an interesting hire for the Pittsburgh. I think they might like out with that, right? That's someone who can provide the same level of coaching that those two people provided to the organizations. But if we're looking for coaching candidates within this cycle, I don't think that they have the options to kind of do that, and I think that's on them. They may have had them last year, right, with a Belichick and whomever else they could have courted for these types of opportunities. I don't think that
Well,
now they, from an organizational standpoint, too, they have the leverage as well. Whether it's Mark Andrews or whomever else you want to point to on these rosters, T.J. Watt missing some time this year for the Steelers, right? Like they don't have the same pieces that they have, and the timetable is also still shifting.
well,
So
then here's a question because they have I don't know if it's been said if he's going to stay with the team or not, or if he's going to be interviewing, but their offensive coordinator Todd Monken, he's a name that's going to be brought up in head coaching discussions. Do you think you mentioned hiring within? Do you think they should hire within and go with Monken, or they should
I think
explore elsewhere for a more experienced head NFL head coach experience?
I think that they probably will end up hiring within, given the timetable of the hiring process. But I don't think that that is a smart decision. I think they're going to end up in a Gerard Mayo situation where they're going to end up firing the person
Mm,
that they elevate to this position, because the person ultimately is just an organizational tool, not necessarily an individual component, which is what you need as far as building together a successful triumvirate with the coach and GM, ownership, and the players.
yeah.
I just think overall that's a bridge that's not going to be stable. So
It's what's interesting is I was looking at before we started the recording, I was just kind of looking at what the media is saying of some of the top head coaching candidates out there. And of course, one, two, and three are all those AFC North coaches, Tomlin, Harbaugh, Stefanski. And the fourth best head coaching candidate, according to the Ringer, take a guess who it is. It's
sorry, there's a jet flying over,
Speaking of Jets.
like a military jet. My
Yeah.
bad.
Speaking of Jets,
Oh wow,
the
wow, the
the
odds.
the fourth highest head coaching candidate, according to this website I was looking at, is Robert Saleh.
That's insane, but also
So,
believable.
I mean, he's done a good job with that. Has he done a good job with the San Fran defense this year? I really can't tell.
With injuries and all the rest of things considered,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he did a very Robert Saleh job of motivating those
Uh,
players to get the best out of them.
yeah.
You know,
So it'll be interesting to see if he stays with San Fran. I think he should stay with San Fran for at least a little bit. Kind of work more with
work
Shanahan.
together with Shanahan. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that working out for him though.
But my organizational fumble of the week, which I think if there is a place Saleh gets hired, it should be here. Um, but it's gotta be the Falcons for me. The
Okay,
organizational architectural fumble. Firing
where
Raheem
are the
Morris
cracks?
after 2 years. I mean,
What are we
Raheem
doing?
Morris can't play GM. I don't think it was
No,
his choice to take Penix a month after signing Kirk Cousins to like $120 million contract or whatever it was, fully
if
guaranteed.
given the option, I don't think the head coach wanted to have that type of turmoil within the locker room. No,
But man, yes, they lost to the Jets. And I think that ultimately cost him a playoff spot. But
and sealed the
I
deal.
think I think he turned the offense around. I mean, that offense looked great with Kirk Cousins under center the second half of the season. It was a little bit too little, too late.
It looks sturdy, and I don't know about great, but it looks more
And that was
sturdy than it
without
did
Drake,
previously.
but sturdy without Drake London for much of that time. He was
Facts,
hurt.
but he got the best out of Kyle Pitts. If
He got
you're the
the
Falcons, you have been watching Kyle Pitts falter and flounder his way through the league for so many years, and then now finally you have a coach who's getting the best out of him, and you get
And
rid
I
of him.
think what we had with Atlanta was a bunch of young stars on offense having the best years of their career. Bijan, best year of his career. Kyle Pitts, best year of his career. Drake London, take away the injury, just look at his per games, best
Best
year of his
year
career.
of his career.
David Sills, I don't even know who the hell that guy was
I
three
do. He
months
was on the
ago.
Saints. He was on the Saints
Yeah.
previously.
And he
Waiver
looked
wire pickup.
amazing.
He played
Yeah.
pretty well for me. I'm
He
aware of. He has the same production as Brandon Cooks. Just side note.
Yeah. And like he looked great. He got the best out of him. The defense, I mean, those two first round defensive players. I mean, James Pierce Jr., I think is an absolute star.
Stud.
I
I
think
think that
he
Cam I forget his last name right now, but the defensive end on the Saints, he's done a great job of motivating the young
yes.
defensive tackles, and that the whole D line group has developed really well under his leadership.
Yeah, he's kept the Saints, competitive as a lot. Leadership is key for those kind of teams that aren't going to be good. Raheem Morris, keep in mind the Falcons, yes, they were eliminated earlier than most teams. They finished tied for first in their division. Like they were a tiebreaker away from being in the playoffs. I really thought Raheem Morris was turning the ship around. I think Raheem Morris is an excellent coach. I think he was turning the ship. I think the players were buying in, and I was excited to see what they were going to look like next year. For him to get canned, I mean, I just don't see it. They were starting to look good with Kirk Cousins of all people. So I don't know. Salah might make a lot of sense there. They got the offense kind of figured out. The defense is very young, and they could benefit from a defensive mind like Salah. Granted, I
Cam
don't think
Jordan.
Salah's Cam Jordan. There we go. Granted, I don't think Salah's leadership is good. I think that's a place where you could see Harbaugh go. I know no one's really talking about it. Everyone's talking about the Giants, but it makes a lot of sense with how Harbaugh likes to coach.
I
And
think that I've seen Atlanta come up and I've seen Tennessee come up with Harbaugh, and those are the two landing spots I think they're actually realistic for sure
you don't see the Giants at all?
at all.
I do. I really do.
Organizationally, it's such a bad opportunity. I think that whomever takes it, like an Arthur Smith or whomever else, like I've mentioned before, is going to be an offensive minded coach who wants to work with Dart. That's going to be the draw for that. If you're going to get a Harbaugh or a defensive minded coach, it's not going to be there because the
I think
defense is atrocious.
but the defense has pieces. Like I think it's the most attractive job in
Had
the
pieces.
market.
They traded Dexter Lawrence and whomever else that they're going
Yeah,
to,
but they got Brian Burns, who is the top 5 defensive lineman in the league.
who they signed from Carolina, who's probably going to leave as a pass rusher. They're going to leverage or liquidate that those assets on the defensive side, similar to the way the Jets did.
No, they have to keep. I mean, I can see the
It's a
argument
fire
for
sale.
trading Burns, but I think you have to keep him. He's too important. He's too good.
Obviously, you're not selecting a QB this year, so what you're probably going to do is draft a young defensive player or offensive line player, right? So somewhere
Yeah.
on the offensive or defensive line, they're going to look to get rid of a veteran somewhere. And
No,
Burns
I
is probably the one that makes sense the most
I think they keep Burns. I think
because
they
they need to
go.
solidify that secondary.
I think they go defensive back in the draft for sure. I think that
Absolutely.
LSU corner, I can't remember his name. I think Caleb Downs all make a lot of sense for the Giants. They have a good pick. They have a good quarterback already. Cam Scatterbo's a dog. Malik Neighbors is a dog. Like if I'm a head coach, I want to coach the Giants of all the teams out there.
If you can rein that locker room in, it's absolutely a good opportunity for you. But the other thing you're competing with is the ownership group there. The Mara family is obviously very consistent, very good. But at the same time, too, they've shown it over the past couple of years with their decision making in the transition after the passing of the elders. It's been
Yeah.
tough, and obviously we've seen with these other NFL franchises that are also similarly run family oriented businesses in that sense. You know what I mean? As far as the
Yep.
decision making and how it functions, like it takes a while for the kids to figure out how to run this organization. And I think that you're seeing that with the Colts as well too. Like the Ursay girls, they did great this year. I say girls, which also sounds weird because that's how they're described, but they're older than us.
Yes.
They're women. And
Yeah.
they're like 45-year-old women who have just inherited a billion-dollar franchise and they're running it really well. And that groundwork was laid years ago too. And I think that's something that we'll talk about more in depth. But like some of these ownership transitions that have happened have been like father son right? And I think you're going to see that, especially with the Cowboys over the next couple of years too. I don't know if that's the best way in which for those organizations to function. And Stephen Jones has been ingrained in the organization for years, but the way in which the decisions have made have come top down, right? And whether it's the Bengals, the Cowboys, or some of these other franchises that have some older ownership groups, I don't know how that's going to function as far as creating stability in some of the coaching decisions and the GM hirings that they have in the next couple of years.
My hot take, I don't think the Colts women ran at will at all. I think they got lucky to start the season and they went all in when they knew they shouldn't have. I thought the trade for Sauce, from the Colts' perspective, horrible. Uh, they overpaid, and now guess what? They're out of the playoffs and they have no first round pick for the next 2 years.
Look, I think they made the same move that Stan Kroenke made, and it just didn't pay out.
And it just didn't pay out. I just don't.
I don't think it was the wrong move. I think that honestly, cards on the table, you see your hand. They made the move that they had to make, whether it was a bluff or not. Regardless, don't really matter at the end of the hand. You know
Yeah, but then do that trade for Patrick Surtain. Do that trade for Derek Stingley. Don't do it for Sauce Gardner.
who was available? Was Derek Stingley available? Was Sertain available?
Hey, if
You
you're
know, you got to
offering
look
two
at the
first
pieces on
round,
the board.
if you're offering
You,
two first round picks, they might
if you
be.
are, if you're in 2 round picks, they might be, but they probably weren't. You know, what I mean, I think the organizational stability and structure of the things, all
All right.
things considered, I think they made the right moves. You know, what I mean, and also too,
Yeah.
from that same standpoint too. Again, you have the Stephen Jones right there in there to point at too, like who has more arguably more organizational power, right? More say over the whole situation. You're not talking about 3 people. You're talking about one person who has a father who's taking less and less control over the organization to give him more media bites and less control in the boardroom. So I think that that's also kind of like in there too. In the Brown family too. This whole situation with Trey Hendrickson this offseason, the contract with Shamar Stewart. I think that like overall there are a lot of other organizations in the NFL that have more cracks at the seams. I
Right.
agree with the decision making necessarily not necessarily working out, but or panning out. But I also think the Rams made the same decision and just got lucky that they had Stafford backing them. You know what I mean? I think you bet on the right horses. Daniel Jones
I
probably
was
wasn't the right horse in the Colts analogy.
yeah.
You know?
I was talking to some other friends about this situation, and I think if Stafford wins the Super Bowl this year, we need to talk about that trade being the best trade of all time.
Yeah.
Like they gave up a lot for it, but if they got 2 rings, an MVP quarterback, put a quarterback in the Hall of Fame,
And Jared Goff benefited from it too. The Lions
yeah.
also absolutely ascended.
Do you think the Lions ever kick themselves about how
No,
they wasted Stafford, or
no,
are they happy of
no.
what they got for
I
Stafford?
think the Lions kicked themselves for how they wasted Calvin Johnson. And that coincides with how they wasted Stafford.
Yeah, but well, Raheem Morris was my organizational fumble. He should have kept his job. Let's kind of switch gears. Speaking of head coach openings, to our fan corner check-in, our therapy session, and Malcolm, your Raiders looking for a new head coach
Namaste.
at last. So I have a list of 17 coaches, the top 17 coaches on the market. Starting with, I just want a quick yes or no. Do you want them?
Okay.
And I'm gonna write down who your yeses are, and we can kind of break them down afterwards.
Okay.
First name, you mentioned him a lot already today. Arthur Smith.
Yes.
Okay, let me type that out. Second name, uh, throwback. Was he a Texans head coach? I think he was. Clint Kubiak,
Hell no.
Seattle's offensive coordinator this year. Still a
No.
hell no? Nope.
No.
Okay. All right. Next up, we got the current Packers defensive coordinator. I don't know this name, but I've been seeing it a lot. And Jeff
Pat's
Halfley.
no, because Pat Sullivan already got hired. So he's going to Miami, I think.
Okay. All right. Next name. Speaking of Miami, he's a defensive coordinator right now. Anthony Weaver. He actually used to be a coach for the
Yes.
Jets.
Yes, as a candidate. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
He's a
was on the
defensive
Salah
guy.
with Weaver, right?
I think he was with Rex like way back.
Oh, wow.
I think he was like a young. I think he was like the Jets like I don't know like
I'll take some of that
linebacker.
Rex Ryan identity and absorb it into the Raiders. For
I think
sure,
he
for
was like
sure.
the linebacker coach for Rex Ryan or something like that.
I
Like
like that a
young.
lot. Yeah, I like that a lot.
So okay, all right. Anthony Weaver's up there. Lou Anarumo, the Colts defensive coordinator.
Yes.
All right.
Shout out to Lou, Uncle Lou.
You were high on the Colts, but okay. Next name up, Mike McDaniel.
No, because he doesn't fit Vegas. But yes, as a coaching candidate.
Throwback. Lots of Dolphins are getting Brian Flores.
No, 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 no.
I think he deserves another shot. I really do,
Yes.
but not for the Raiders.
No.
All right. Well, we mentioned him earlier. He is ranked as a 10th best coaching candidate. Todd Monken, Ravens OC.
No.
Hey, fair enough. I think he's gotten lucky with Lamar. I don't think. Well, here's the thing is too, when you think about this head coach, you need a coach that's going to work
Lamar is
with
just Lamar.
You need a coach that can work
Lamar.
with
Todd
Mendoza.
Monken.
For whatever coach you hire, they're going to be tied to Mendoza the rest of their career.
What he said.
So you
Did
need
you
a
hear
coach
that?
that's that.
Are you listening, Mark Davis? Please tell me you are, because you got to listen to somebody at some point.
Yes, and so far, two of the three coaches candidates who said yes to are defensive coaches. So you think? I guess here's a question: If you're
Where
going to
do the
take it
Raiders need the most help? Where do the Raiders
everywhere,
have the most assets already? Everywhere is an answer, but the defense is also another answer. And look, yes, you
fair.
need an offensive coach to work with the quarterback, but that cannot be solved with the offensive coordinator. We haven't gotten to Cliff Kingsbury yet, but he's somewhere down on this list, isn't he?
He's going to be coming up soon.
Okay.
So we're going to start with number 9, uh, another defensive guy, Chargers defensive coordinator,
Fuck no. Jesse
Jesse
Minter. Nope.
Jesse Minter.
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm so plugged into this coaching search.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
All
I've been
right.
reading every article.
So
Every
we're
article.
we are now entering head coach candidate number 8. So with 8 head coach openings, theoretically, these are the 8 coaches that should be hired. We're going to start with veteran coach. We grew up watching this man, Steve Spagnuolo.
Ah. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We just hired Pete Carroll. Yes. No.
I mean, he's
We'll talk about
65
it
years
later in the
old.
show. Yes. No.
He's another old guy,
Mm.
but he has Super Bowls under his coaching resume as defensive coordinators.
Yeah. Of course.
He's been the Chiefs defensive coordinator for the last couple years at least, I think.
Yeah. I do like Coach Bags from a play calling
But
standpoint.
is he any different than Pete Carroll?
If he turns coat and joins the Raiders too, like I do like the idea that we have all the secrets to Patrick Mahomes' success. You're convincing me slowly but surely. Keep mentioning things about him.
Yeah, I think the more I mention, the more you're going to be turned off.
Oh
So
no! Stop mentioning things about him.
I'll leave it at
No,
that, and we'll move
no
on
more.
to our next candidate, Joe Brady.
Fuck no! What are we doing here?
I think Joe Brady's
No, no, no.
he made
You want to talk about quarterbacks tied to your success? Joe Burrow, forever linking that guy to employment.
Yeah, and we've seen Joe Burrow in the NFL not be as good as he was with Brady. We've seen Josh Allen take that next step. We've seen James
Cliff
Cook.
Kingsbury looked great with Kyler Murray. He looked great with Caleb Williams. How does Cliff Kingsbury look without either of those quarterbacks?
Funny you mentioned that because number 6 on our list is Cliff Kingsbury.
And yes, I'm still going to say yes, regardless to the fact that I was speaking to the opposite.
Even though that Commanders'
That's how that
offense
works.
was so bad this year, I guess he had it.
That offensive line was also bad, and he made them look pretty good throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah. And hey, if you're Mendoza, Cliff Kingsbury is probably one of the more offensive friendly head coaching candidates out there for a young quarterback in development. All right, next name up. Mike McCarthy. I can't believe they call him Mike McCarthy the fifth best top five head coaching candidate. Blows my mind. I don't think anyone should hire him.
Unbelievable. No, the answer is no. I don't know if the Zoom picked that up, but no, 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 no.
All right, number four. Mentioned him earlier. My boy, Robert Saleh.
Let's
Former
go.
former
Let's get
Jets
Big
head
Bobby
coach.
in here.
All
Bobby
right,
Boucher. Let him play. Water boy.
Robert Saleh makes your list. Number three, Stefanski. I mean, I think you should want him. I don't think you have a chance at getting him, but which I kind
You
of think
go
is like,
ahead. You're looking at my face right now, and you can tell everything I'm thinking. So no.
yeah. I say the other two names are going to be Harbaugh and Tomlin. I don't think you have a chance of hiring any of those two.
Nope, nope, and nope. I would love to have Mike Tomlin. What? That'd be awesome, but no.
Yeah.
And I don't think Harbaugh's coming to Vegas. The same thing with Miami. I think that the cities are what's not attracting them to that job, not necessarily the organizations.
But man, that no income tax in Miami is pretty nice.
Vegas is also tax friendly. I also don't think that either of those locations are cool for
Yeah.
the Harbaugh family. You know,
So, your list, based off who you think is a realistic and good hire for the Raiders: Robert Saleh, former Jets head coach, current Niners DC; Cliff Kingsbury, former Cardinals head coach, current Commanders OC; Steve Spagnuolo, former Texans head coach,
yeah, briefly.
Jaguars, was he Jaguars?
Jaguars or Texans. It was definitely AFC South. Might
Yeah.
have been both.
Current Kansas City defensive coordinator. He was also defensive coordinator for the Giants on their Super Bowl team.
Now I think that Spags was coaching in that Marvin Lewis era too,
Yep.
where we had a lot of
Oh
those
yeah.
younger defensive coaches that just disappeared after getting a head coaching gig, and they ended up being coordinators
So I
through
guess
real life.
those are of the top head coaching candidates. You have three that you would want, and it's those three. And then you have three wild card coaching candidates you said yes for. The first being Big Lou Anaromo, uh, Colts DC, 14 years of experience. I think he was with the Vikings for a while during their good days. And Anthony Weaver, Dolphins defensive coordinator. I think he's bounced around from like the
Yeah,
Jets to the Chiefs to the Dolphins.
I'm iffy on that one.
And lastly, Arthur Smith, who was a fantasy nightmare, but maybe a good coach.
I might pick Arthur Smith just because he might save my fantasy team. I won't draft a single player that he's coaching. So there's that. But if I had to pick one, because I think that's where we're headed, right?
Yep.
You want me to pick one?
Yeah. Well, pick
First,
pick one of the top three, and then one of the wild cards. Let's say.
okay. Okay. Out of the wild cards, I'll start with that. Lou Anarumo.
Over
I think
Arthur.
I think that if we're gonna go with defensive side of the ball, that's where I would like to pick for sure. And then
Okay.
out of the top three, because I went defensive on the wild cards, I probably would have picked Salah first, but I'll go with Cliff Kingsbury.
And I got to agree with you on Kingsbury. I think Kingsbury and the Raiders just make a lot of sense. I think
I want to see him back in the desert.
what he's really good at developing young quarterbacks. I mean, we saw Kyler Murray with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray without Cliff Kingsbury, night and day. He helped develop a lot of the young quarterbacks. He had a hand with Mahomes. He had a hand with Caleb
Williams,
Williams. Yeah. So if you're going to take Mendoza first overall, which with
you gotta take
Dante
him.
Moore announcing he's staying at Oregon next year, there's no debate. Mendoza's first overall pick. We don't have to pretend to be like, oh, who's it going to be? Even though Mendoza's going to get his ass kicked this weekend,
Is he now?
I think
I think
no.
Juan and I have something to say about that, but let's hear what Juan has to say first.
I'm gonna look. I want to. I think Miami is a clear game plan on how to beat Indiana, right? And it is control possession.
Ooh, that sounds like a plan.
I mean, we saw it every game they win this year.
Things always go to plan.
They're scoring 50 plus points. They're scoring with 2 minutes drives. They're making big plays on both sides of the ball. Miami's kind of built for that. Carson Beck is a star at
And
college
turnover
level.
machine.
Yeah. Mark Fletcher, the running back,
Star.
star, and that's how you're going to win. Let Fletcher, you know, I want Fletcher to run the ball 30 times this game. I do.
So you don't want Carson Beck to touch the ball because you're also afraid that he's a turnover machine.
I want him to throw like 25 pass attempts, but I want us to run more than we pass.
So 2 interceptions out of the 25.
Yeah, and hope no, calm down, calm down, calm down. But
I'm just going based off percentages.
and then I think we needed a lot of those, 11 play, 9-minute drives, which I think Miami's geared for. Beck is geared for that, short passes. Fletcher
I'm
is
not
geared
rooting
for that.
Indiana by any stretch of the means. I'm just trying to, as a Jets fan and a Miami fan, this is going to be as good as it gets for the next 50 years. So I really want this for you. But I also don't want you to have a stressful watching experience. I need you to know what you're about to encounter.
Oh, I'm aware that most likely scenario is Indiana wins by 20 plus points. Yes. That is the most likely scenario, the most likely outcome. But
due to Carson Beck interceptions. Not due to your defense, not due to Mark Fletcher. And
did you watch that? Did you watch that Carson Beck drive?
I believe in Carson Beck is a different quarterback, but he's still Carson Beck.
Which transitions into my next segment, my Jets fan corner check-in. With Dante Moore officially declaring he's staying at Oregon, we should 100% and will not take a quarterback second overall. That said, if Carson Beck is there in the fourth round, we should absolutely take Carson Beck. He's going to fall in the draft. He's on the older side for a rookie quarterback.
He is?
He's a Miami Cane. I want to see him and Cam Ward run the league in the next couple of years. And look, is it likely going to work out? No. But guess what? Fourth round quarterbacks are flyers. Let's take one. We have so many picks coming up. We have 6 first, second round picks over the next 2 years.
Who's your GM?
What's what?
Who's your GM?
We don't got to worry about that. We don't got to. We don't got to.
I just want to know who's making those bevy of picks.
Our GM situation is that's fine. I mean, he got a lot of value.
It's fine.
Got a lot of value with Sauce and Quinnen, although it hurt. Got a lot of value. So I think the issue with Dante Moore saying he's going to stay at Oregon is I don't know who's going to trade up with us. So then at number 2 overall, who do we take?
Caleb Downs, no question.
So Caleb Downs is who I want, right? But at number 2 is a reach. Like I want us to be able to trade down and get him at like 6, 7, or 8. Because
that's possible.
No one's going to take a safety.
Just take him because he's going to be the best player that you guys are able to acquire in this draft.
Do you remember the last safety
that was upside?
I agree. The last safety that was taken in the top 5 of a draft. Do you remember who it was?
I don't remember top 5, but I think Kyle Hampton was 14 overall.
Jamal Adams was the last safety taken in top 5.
By the Jets or the Seahawks?
By the Jets. And he was good before he turned, I think the CTE got to him or something. But he was good. He was productive. And I think teams are scared based on the fall off Jamal Adams had. Also, safety isn't necessarily viewed as a position of value, which is why I think we can trade down.
Wild, though, because Palomalu, Ryan Clark, just name the safeties in our generation.
Ed Reed, Woodson at safety,
they had effect on the entirety of the game, and QBs, the best QBs that we have seen, were afraid of them. So I think that it's wild to think that. And Kyle Hamilton, for example, when he's in the lineup for Baltimore, radical difference in the way that defense looks. They have Marlon Humphreys. They have a bunch of other corners and other secondary players on the outside that are excellent, excel at what they do. But when Kyle Hamilton's in there, it makes all the difference. Same thing. I know you don't see Surtain as that player, but the effect that he has on the game is similar to some of those great secondary players.
The effect for sure. He's not a safety. I refuse to believe that. Although I did see Derwin James, who you keep calling a do-it-all player and I keep calling a safety. Do you think I think he made all
He's been playing
pro?
linebacker this year, bruh.
I think he made second team all pro as a nickelback, is what they
Yeah,
called him.
yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
really?
Look at where they line him up in the formation, bro.
Like,
He's basically just a will linebacker this year.
it's interesting because I feel like I've been fighting you on this debate all year long on the podcast, and at least Derwin James proves me wrong. I'll give you that
They've
one.
been playing quarters and they've been playing cover six too, right? So what that allows for them to do too is scheming wise, put Surtain and Derwin James and Buda Baker in these positions where they're not supposed to be in the field. It's just disrupting coverages all over the field.
Yeah.
I think we saw an uptick in turnovers this year because the amount of starting quarterbacks that got injured, but some of these backups came in there and they could not see through the
Did
middle
you
of that
see an uptick in
defense.
turnovers? Because I
Absolutely.
didn't. I saw my Jets get 0 interceptions all season long.
So there are some teams that didn't want to subscribe to the meta, but I also saw like 4 or 5 Houston Texans players with 4 or more interceptions, which
Dude,
makes the number 0 for the Jets seem incredible.
the Texans
Incredible.
are insane. So let's kind of take our last few minutes of this episode to talk about the landscape of the playoffs.
Let's get it.
And what do we have coming up?
Where are we headed?
Well,
Let's
first
pick a
off,
Super Bowl winner.
my Super Bowl winner. All right, this one's going to sound crazy. And I think it's going to sound even crazier based off an injury that happened this last weekend.
Where are we going? The 49ers?
I'm going San Francisco.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I I think
Bold
one.
choice.
I think okay. Well, here's a few factors I want to focus on the NFC. NFC, the Seahawks. I get it. They're the 1 seed. I don't buy it. I don't buy. I watched Sam Darnold play long enough. I don't
Okay.
think I don't think he has it in the playoffs. Niners. All you really got to do is scheme against JSN. They don't really have another playmaker on that offense. Yes, Charbonnet is good. Ken Walker is good. Uh, AJ Barner has had a renaissance in his career this year. But I don't think they have the offensive firepower that if the Niners get going like they can, if Jawan Jennings keeps playing like the superstar that he is, if Jawan Jennings keeps throwing dimes like that to McCaffrey, I love Jawan Jennings so much.
I know you do.
I think they beat Seattle, right? So then they're playing the winner of the Bears Rams. And this is where I think the Bears win. Bears got home field.
In
Stafford
Chicago in January.
Stafford's played in a dome or California his whole career.
It's tough.
We saw Stafford struggle in Detroit against Chicago and Green Bay in the cold. And look, the Bears look really good. I think the Bears win that game. And then if the Niners and Bears play the NFC Championship, we saw this game earlier in the year. It was a shootout, the highest scoring game of the season, I
Can the
believe.
Bears contain McCaffrey? Becomes the question.
And they can't. And the best part with the Niners is we saw it earlier in the year when Kittle was hurt. Jake Tonges, whatever the hell his name is,
Tonga, yeah.
he filled in amazingly at tight end spot. Like it felt like Kittle never
That's
left.
another room similar to Cam Jordan where Kittle has had effect on that position group
Yeah.
to its entirety. When he misses time, they don't miss a step.
And so then
They all
I
know
think
their assignments. That's
I
the
think
Shanahan effect as well.
it's very feasible the Niners make the Super Bowl, and then they're gonna have to beat what an inexperienced Drake May, a overrated Broncos team, a Texans defense with no offense whatsoever, or most likely scenario, Josh Allen. And hey, if it's Niners Bills, I think that's a great game, but I think Shanahan just outcoaches McDermott.
What an excellent segue. I hate to say it, but this is the year. Josh Allen, if you do not win this year, there is never going to be another opportunity. Let me look at the camera. Josh, Haley, all of y'all folks within his orbit, remind this man of his capabilities and his strength. Because if he does not pull it together this year, it's not coming together. All right. So that's my Super Bowl pick. I think that the AFC this year, the Bills are going to come out strong. That defense, Tre'Davious White has looked exceptional over the past couple of weeks. And I think
He
they're gonna
really
make some key
has.
plays and end up finding themselves in a Super Bowl position. And it's going to be back against the wall, probably, like you're saying, against an NFC opponent who may have the ability to beat them. If Caleb Williams, also too interesting thing to talk about, I think, if Caleb Williams ends up making it to the Super Bowl, do we change the way in which we describe his career projections? Because all Jaden Daniels had to do was make the playoffs for us to be like, oh wow, he's ascended.
I think it's less about Caleb Williams if they make the Super Bowl, less about Caleb Williams, and more about holy shit, Ben Johnson is the next McVay. Like he is the top. He becomes instantly a top 3 head coach in the league.
Fair.
And I think you got Shanahan, McVay, Vrabel, and it could be Ben Johnson next. Like, but I don't think he makes it. I think it's either going to be the Rams or the Niners for the NFC, and either
Makes
the
sense.
Bills or the Patriots from the AFC. And I think
Absolutely.
it will be the Bills pretty confidently. And I think if the Bills play either the Rams or the Niners, they're going to get out coached.
Oh, damn.
Shanahan and McVay are 100% going to
Better
out
coaches.
coach.
I agree. McDermott,
McDermott.
yes. But at the same time, do you think that they had the Jimmys and the Joes and the X's and O's?
I think the Niners story is just so good. They've thought through so many injuries this year. Trent Williams, Brandon
home Super Bowl
Ayuk,
would be pretty cool.
George Kittle. And
The Red Sea will be active. I hate the Niners as a Raiders fan. You know, I do.
Yeah. I love McCaffrey. I love Purdy.
I'm sure you do.
I do love Trent Williams. I wish he was, fully healthy this whole season for this run. But something about this year in the Niners, and I know no one else believes it except for me. No one else I've talked to has picked the 49ers to even come close.
Right. If the Seahawks do make the Super Bowl, we're all going, though. I already told my sister, we're gonna make it happen. That's an unbelievable story in general. And overall, we'll see what happens.
If the Seahawks make the Super Bowl, I'm gonna need to seriously reevaluate my Jets fandom. And
that's why we have to go. As a Raiders fan, I need to see how this happened in real life, experience it for myself, and figure out how we can replicate this experience.
I don't know how I would live with myself the next day.
I'm moving to Vegas next year. Have to.
If Sam Darnold makes it to the Super Bowl, let alone if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, I'm gonna lose my mind. But that's it. That's our episode. Thank you all for listening. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, email us all of your thoughts, fantasy punishments, your therapy.
Jeez.
If you're a Steelers fan, we want to hear from you. You guys,
let us know.
I know Malcolm said, Chicken Little, the sky has fallen. I disagree. I think this guy very much has fallen. And I think the Pittsburgh era of one losing season since the turn of the century, I think they're
turn of the century's wild work. Good job, but wild work.
I think they're about to quadruple that losing season total over the next 4 years. I think they're in rough shape. I don't know who's playing quarterback. Ty Simpson, Dylan Gabriel, Tua, Will Howard. Ugh. Yikes. I think they're doomed. I think they're doomed to be at the bottom of the NFL for a while. But it's time.
Bottom feeders got a bottom feed event every now and again.
Malcolm, since we were sentient, I don't think we've ever seen a Steelers losing season.
No.
There's been one in our lifetime, and I don't think we were watching the NFL. They won 2 Super Bowls in our lifetime, and I think they're gonna, reality's gonna hit them hard. But that ends the episode. As always, like, email, comment, subscribe.
Soon.
Malcolm, any last words for the people before we sign off?
Much love. Thank you for watching. If you're here at the end of the video, appreciate you. See you guys soon. Peace.
See you guys next week. Peace.